Today, I'm going to use the theory of constructivism to teach the skill of drawing. Constructivism means people construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. So we're going to learn how to draw today. And we're not going to draw this guy. So this guy is a little bit intimidating. We're going to keep this pretty simple. We're going to draw this guy. So this very simple pair. So most people might see this and they're not sure where to start because there are some details in there that might be hard to tackle. But drawing is skill-based, like a sport. So most students do have experiences playing sports, and so I try to relate it to that. So the fact of the matter is, you know what? I don't know how to shoot three-pointers, but I can spend time practicing those skills and learning techniques to get better at it. And drawing is exactly the same way. So, if we get this guy out of the way here, most students, when they're drawing a pair, they approach it like this. Let's assess this. This pair, so this drawn pair, is not quite accurate. It doesn't look a lot like this. So what is different about it is the fact that where the stem is, so this top section of the pair is too skinny in comparison to this section. So the base for the most part is pretty accurate, but not the top section. So one of the easiest ways to draw something is to think about it like a skill. So what we'll do is we're going to learn a technique and break this down so that way it is a little bit easier to draw. So trial number 2, after assessing this and what parts may have worked and what parts didn't work, we're going to have a second try. So, tip number 2 here, we're going to slow this down and break this into shape. So if you look at this pair, so the base is pretty large and it's circular in shape. The top section where the stem is more oval in shape. It's slightly taller than it is wide. So when we draw this, we're going to observe that and try to match those shapes by drawing them slowly and breaking it down into multiple shapes. And that's how drawing becomes easier. So, I'll start by drawing the base here. I'm going to slow this down. And don't worry about drawing a perfect circle the first time around because it is hard to do. Because we're all flawed. So you might have to go around this once or twice just to kind of get this general shape in. And the shape doesn't need to be perfect because you will adjust those shapes. So we just want a general shape so you have a base to build off of. And then we'll draw a very general shape for the top section of this pair. So by slowing it down, that is already much more accurate. So if you look at this pair, there are some lumpy areas. It's not completely round. There are some areas that are a little bit flat. So now what we'll do is we'll go around this line work and make our slight adjustments. So any area that might need to be adjusted, we'll kind of fix those areas up now. So over that initial shape. So again, approaching this in a much slower fashion. So using what we did assess to do this better the second time around. And that's going to be one of the keys here. So now that silhouette or that contour of that pair is a little bit more accurate to what we'd like. The proportions for the most part of what we would need. So now we'll assess this the second time around. I'll take a look at this pair. I'll look at the shapes. I'll compare the top section to the top section of the actual pair. It's a little bit more accurate in height and width. And same thing for the base. So now that the general shapes are in the right place where you simply need them, you can add what we call shading or value to make this pair look a little bit more lifelike. So with that being said, as you draw, we try to encourage students to assess their own work so they can gain an understanding of what they are doing. So in order to make this feel lifelike, on top of that initial contour, we'll add some value. So according to the light source, value simply means having lighter and dark areas, because every object does have lighter and darker areas according to a light source. So I'll do this pretty quickly just so you can get a feel of what this may look like. And as you push the value of an object, you want to see light, medium, and dark. So depending on your light, you can always see some very dark areas of that shape, some medium areas of that shape, and also the lighter areas which are closer to your light source. And then before we finish up here, I'm just going to assess to make sure that I have our lighter areas, so our highlighted areas, the medium areas, which we call halftones, and then also the dark areas, which we call shadows. And once that's put in place, we're going to use this small blending stick, which is just rolled up paper, just to help create smooth transitions. We'll add a slight cast shadow. So according to our light source, that shadow is going to be an opposite of the light. And that is how you draw a simple object. So drawing from life, we drew this pair, and this pair does resemble this pair. So just kind of make a final analysis, making sure that you have the shapes correct, light, medium, and dark, and you have a very accurate object. And that is how you learn how to draw, which is skill-based.